Maybe you can tell us if you're hearing us. We're going live. Thanks, Nadav. Just let us know if you get audio.
It says live in 60 seconds according to my thing. Do you see it yet, Rex?
Not yet, so.
Okay. Nadav says we are live.
Okay, folks. Welcome to Mala Mala again. We are sitting on the causeway, and in frame we have a number of lions. This is the full complement of the Kambula Pride, at least we think it is. And the two Gowrie males are present as well. I'm not going to turn the camera around just yet, because there's a little bit of lion activity and we've got the camera set up quite nicely at this point. But with us is Mike, as per usual, on the comments. Mike Kirkman, or MK. And then Bruce Missing, who's also the head ranger here at Mala Mala, who will be driving for us today. Yeah, if anybody can hear us, let us know that we got audio, or that you have audio.
Yeah, so Haley Love Wildlife says yes, we can hear. Welcome back to you. And a welcome to, let's see who else is all here. Yosa, good evening from Indonesia. Azmi, I think was on yesterday.
Johan Duplessis, welcome back. Samantha Flim. Soweto, back again, welcome.
And busy waiting for the lions because they are a Leo.
Okay, thanks Brian. Glad you can hear us. So folks, the sun has just come out as we went live. It was very comfortable for us about 5 minutes ago. And it's just gotten very hot very quickly. And as you can see, all these lions are trying to lie in the shade there. This is the Kambula Pride.
Alright, and everyone just checking in and saying hello, and hello back to everyone. And hopefully for you watching, if the lion, well, the sun's come out, might make the lions as hot as we are, and perhaps get them to move around a bit, though I suspect they're just going to move from one patch of shade to the other.
Pepe, welcome from the Netherlands.
Yeah, and then TR1, any further info on the clash between Gowrie males and the random name males? So I believe the Gowrie males were down quite far to the south of us, where they did have interaction with some new young males, but both are here at the moment. They're back with their pride, the Kambula Pride. So things seem to be going well. Gareth is pointing them out there, or one anyway.
The one Gowrie male is lying in the shade just over there. You can just see the top of his belly and his leg. And then the other one is out of screen that side.
The loud and clear from Blackburn in England. And from Copenhagen. From Ireland.
Then hi to Nadav. See you active already.
Nadav on top of it as usual. Oh, and a hello from Ethiopia. And then welcome back to Giraffe Girl as well. So they did have, I don't think a full-on fight. I believe it was more chasing around, roaring at one another. But I'm not even sure what they were doing. They were way outside of their normal territory. I think they just heard that there were some young males in their vicinity at least, and thought they'd preempt they did a preemptive strike on them before those guys even got it into their heads to try come into the Gowrie males territory.
Arun from India, hello, welcome. It's nice to see people from all over the globe joining us this morning.
Miss Mandris, sorry. And from Sweden, Switzerland.
Zoom in, please. I will zoom in a little bit for you.
Right, folks, so just a reminder for those of you that are joining us for the first time, we obviously on lockdown here at Mala Mala Game Reserve, and we've just started doing the live streaming thing. Unfortunately, we don't have any equipment to do it properly, so we've been using our cell phone. So Gareth uses his cell phone to zoom in. Fortunately, it has a very good camera, and I use mine to read all the comments and hopefully answer the bulk of them. Hello from Tanzania. And thank you very much, Marion Stampley. We really do appreciate it.
Hi, Starlings. Good to see you back in the chat room.
Oh.
Starlings also comments a lot on our YouTube channel. Pepe, Brian Walker, a few familiar names here. Welcome, guys.
So Dylan, it's not Yaku driving, it's Bruce missing. Yaku is having the day off. I think after yesterday's adventure, he definitely deserves a day off and a cold beer. It was quite something. And Tom V741, was it hard to find them? So no. We were very fortunate in the river immediately in front of the camp. So we're about
I'm going to give you some perspective.
200 yards from the nearest guest room here.
So excuse the shaking, I'm just going to give you some perspective as to where we are. So you may have seen this on our videos on the live stream the other day. This is the causeway, one of the two access points to the eastern bank of the Sand River here on Mala Mala. So these lions are lying just north of the causeway. And then we're looking right into the sun now. But in the tree line, you might see some chalet or some units there. That is Mala Mala main camp, and then Sable camp further to the left of the frame. So they actually walked through, at least a few of them walked through camp. We found their tracks in camp this morning. But yeah, they're right in front of the pool.
Oh, and there's people from all over, Nigeria, the US again, Finland, Atlanta, Saudi Arabia, Tanzania. So her question, what happened when the feed died yesterday? So we unfortunately couldn't relocate those dogs. They had gone over a hill and into a valley. We went up on the opposite side of the valley and then checked again on the side of the crest. Unfortunately that high, but see where the dogs were, so we had to leave it at that. And thank you so much. I'm gonna try via Olsen. I'm confident I got the Olsen part right, but thank you so much for that. And then yes, someone had asked about where we are. So we're at Mala Mala Game Reserve in the southern part of the Kruger National Park, and
I'm just gonna.
Sorry, there's a whole lot of vultures flying over.
Flying over here. I don't know if you can actually see it on the screen, but there's sure.
You might see one or two pixels moving across there, but yeah, a lot of vultures there.
One of the cubs is up. One of the younger cubs.
Alright, so there's a few questions on these lions. Again, just for those of you that are joining us, this is the Kambula Pride. There are 20 of them. 6 of those are the adults, the adult lionesses, and then with them are the 2 Gowrie males, also they're known as the Birmingham males. And a few questions on when they last ate. So we believe from our neighbors that they caught an impala and then caught a wildebeest, and then our anti-poaching team discovered a zebra carcass also just behind the camp, and then we are here in the river in front of the camp, so presumably they ate all of those animals and then came down for a drink, and that's why they're quite settled and relaxed now. Wildebeest is a 200 odd kg animal, zebra a little bit bigger, and impala is also about 50 kilograms, so we're looking at, say, half a ton of meat. Even if a lot of that is skin and bone and stomach that they wouldn't have eaten, we're still looking at a quarter ton of meat that got consumed here potentially last night. I'm not entirely sure that all the lions ate that, but it's very, very impressive if they did do that. So yeah, it would be quite something if they had got that right.
There was a question earlier asking if we are to the south of the Timbavati. We are in, as well as a portion of the Sabi Sands, which is south of the Manyaleti still. Malamala is wedged between the Kruger National Park and the Sabi Sands Game Reserve. And we are probably, as a crow flies, about 80 kilometers south of Timbavati, maybe a little bit more.
An important message from the Levers, Richard Lever in particular. Yes, I am looking after your brother's fish much better than he looked after mine, because I'm a true animal lover.
What happened to your fish when Craig was looking after you?
It just was a sad ending.
Oh man.
Alright, Alright folks, so just a few, for those of you again that are just joining us, we are just in front of Malamala main camp. So if you have another device, perhaps a phone or iPad or something handy, if you Google Malamala on Google Maps, and then you'll see where the camp is, and then we're 200 yards from the camp in the river in front of it. That'll give you a very precise idea of where we are. But yeah, we're so north of the Skukuza, which is the main camp of the Kruger National Park, and then go as far north as Shakwani is opposite our northern end.
Craig Lever's just put a little symbol there. What is that?
Fishes.
Fishes. Okay. Are you Craig?
What are the chances a wild lion will attack you? Depends so much on the circumstances. So if we were to get out and walk up towards these lions, I'll probably end up that Craig to look after. But the thing is, so these lions, they are used to us in the vehicle. They expect us to behave a certain way. All of these lions, in fact, have grown up, as well as their parents and grandparents, have all grown up with vehicles around and all learned that humans in a vehicle are not a threat. But instinctively, they know that humans on foot are bad news. They instinctively know as well that snakes are bad news. They don't have to wait for a snake to bite them to know a snake is something dangerous. And that's pure instinct. And that same instinct tells them humans are dangerous, or humans on foot. So if we were to approach them, particularly now with the younger cubs here, and we'd be right next to them if we were to get out, so they would immediately have to attack in what they would see as themselves cubs. We're walking around from far away, probably just move off before it became an issue. Otherwise they would start growling at us and let us know not to come closer. But often with the predators, their reaction is very similar to if they saw another big predator. So they don't see us as food, they see us as a threat.
So someone's just asked where the male lions are. There's one in frame. I'm going to point him out. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and then point him out. So, oops. There at the end of my finger, you can just see the back of him. Yeah. Right at the top in the grass there, top right hand corner of frame, that is one of the Gari male lions. The other male lion is out of frame currently. Good, yeah, for now.
Fancy Cheetah, welcome back, asking how old are the youngest cubs. So they're 8 months, going on 11 months now. There's one of the young male lions that's just gotten up and moving about. Those young males, he's getting on to about 18 months now. How many lions would you need to take a male rhino? So, years ago when I worked in Zululand, one of the lion prides there did to catch adult rhino. The pride of 7 lions with 2 big males. So it is possible, but it's very, very difficult to get right. And it was kind of a once-off event. I haven't known of lions to do it elsewhere, though I do know in some parts of Africa lions catch elephants, and in other parts hippos. The lions here, buffalo is the speciality.
Mrs. Lab just asking, and her scene. We call the Tsalala lioness the Martley lioness, or the Martley pride, is her and her cub. And they were actually seen this morning. Mike saw them this morning.
Yes, so we were very fortunate that mom and the cub both safe and well and looking healthy. We did film quite a bit of them, so if you go onto Mala Mala's YouTube channel, not today because we've got a bit of a backlog of footage to go through and edit, but in the next 2 or 3 days we'll put up a little video with them. It will feature these same Kambula pride, and then later on the Alex Costa, how many lions can we see? So we actually haven't been able to count them. A lot of them are in the bush here, but there should be 22 total. And then I saw earlier there was a question on what types of wild other cats we get here. So there's obviously the lions, leopard and cheetah of the big cats, and then the smaller cats, African wildcat, serval, and then caracal. So we have 6 species of cat in this, or on this reserve. Are lions afraid of giraffe? Asked Sheridan. So lions eat a lot of giraffe, but I would say they've got a healthy respect for the kick of a giraffe. Maybe not afraid isn't the right word, but they just respect the dangers of catching a giraffe. Years ago, one of the other prides, when they did manage to catch a giraffe, it actually fell on one of the lionesses and crushed her underneath. So even without the kicks in that, there's a significant danger to lions trying to catch giraffe.
Cheryl Herbert asking, did the female that was mating with a Gari male from 2 days ago find the sisters? Both Gari males are present, so we're assuming that she might have, but we can't be sure because we haven't been able to count these lions accurately. I can currently see 19 lions. I counted 18, but I've just spotted a leg in the bush.
Linda Bailey, sorry, just with the video transmission. So we're in the Sand River Valley, so it is a bit spotty at times, the reception. Also, we are filming on cell phones, so it is a bit tough for us. Annie
in Zululand, welcome.
So there was a question, here it is, Brian Elmer, so asking what does Kambula mean? So it's a name of one of the rocky outcrops on Mala Mala. The original owner here his name was Wyk Campbell, and the koppies were actually named after Wyk Campbell. For the South Africans amongst you, you will know of KwaMashu near Durban is named after Marshall Campbell, the same family, and the Killie Campbell Museum of Afrikaner. So called Campbell and Kambula koppies, where these lions had their first cubs, so we named them the Kambula Pride when they just moved on to Mala Mala. There's one of the lionesses getting up and stretching now. Greetings from Indonesia.
She's just trying to find a bit more space in the shade there, it looks like.
So there was a question on what else we've seen today. So as I mentioned earlier, we saw the Marthley or Tsalala lioness earlier, and then a pack of Cape hunting dogs were seen in the north of the reserve by anti-poaching team. So we didn't see them. I'm not sure if it's the same ones that we were watching yesterday or not. And yes, Tonete, one is indeed up.
We're getting the feed a little bit after you, so it's quite funny to see everybody getting very excited that one is up.
Sorry folks, so there's a lag from when we film it to when it seems to come through on the feed of maybe 20 seconds.
I'm going to say Friday. I know Mike says Friday, but I'm going to say Friday. Who's closer? Hi Marilyn from the USA.
Marilyn Monroe. Where is the male? So folks, the male lion is really being quite difficult. Gareth's trying to point him out there on the screen.
He's right at the tip of my finger in the grass there.
Yeah, he's hard to see because he's lying down right on the edge of this shade, and then his brother's in the thicket. Paul asking, Talon would want to know why leopards like to roll other animals' dung. So the lions do it sometimes too, Talon, but there's a couple of theories why these cats like to roll around in dung. Dogs do it as well. Sorry, that male lion is also rolling over. Speaking of rolling, you can just see him there with his paw up in the air. Just a big stretch from him. But yeah, so just to go back to your question, Talon, so the animals like to roll in dung. One theory is that it helps to cover their scent. So say a zebra smelling them wouldn't know it's lions, they just smell zebra dung, so it might disguise the scent. Another theory is that it helps with ticks and fleas perhaps. And then I've also heard, particularly with things like buffalo dung, it might be the salts in the dung and the urine that they're after, because you'll see them licking it up. And it might well be a combination of all those reasons that they do it. Friday, say Rithe.
Rithe, there we go.
Rithe. Maybe Rithe or Rithe.
Hi, Gene.
Eco Freak asking, do they visit your camp? So yes, that's actually one of our other videos we'll be putting on the Mala Mala YouTube channel soon. I think we already have a little clip on Facebook with one of these lionesses running through camp chasing an impala at about 7 o'clock a few nights ago.
And there are tracks of lions going through camp from last night, which we suspect would be these lions.
Are the 3 youngest cubs present with the pride? So yes.
You can see 2 of them.
The 4th one over, or the 4th one from the right, and it's really hard to make it out, but the one that's lying on the furthest left of the screen.
Yeah, my finger's too big. Yeah, there's one actually lying in the grass. You can barely see it.
And morning to Paul Oberholzer. Can a crocodile attack a lion? So yes, they can. We have had it here, in fact, where one of the big male lions was killed by a crocodile. And I believe if you go into the Kruger latest sightings, and Nadav, hopefully we'll put a link up, there's actually a video there of a lion with a crocodile trying to catch it. I don't think it was successful in the end.
If you want to come past the corner, I can give you the phone.
Ishmael, welcome from Mexico. Are there any other children watching other than Talon?
So Robert McLean asking, can a pride with a reasonable amount of lionesses expect to kill every day? And is there a point where the pride size overwhelms the amount of food needed by the pride? So yes, to both perhaps. So these lions certainly will try to catch something every day because there are just so many mouths to feed. They might not always be successful, but if going by the reports from last night, they caught 3 animals last night: a zebra, a wildebeest, and an impala. But when the pride gets, well, already at 20, this pride is particularly big, so they might well split up into smaller units. Reday. We'll get it right one day. Hi everybody from Darkness Wooding. Aaron Wilson, they blend in with the ground sandy color. So Aaron, the other thing is they blend in with the dead dry grass in the winter here as well. So in the summer the grass here is sort of 3-4 feet tall, bright green and quite dense and lush, so the lions can hide in the grass and behind the bushes and so on, where in the summer when it turns to blend in, and they're the color of the sand as well. Lincoln 1800, so Mala Mala does not allow any hunting at all ever, unless you're a lion or a leopard. So a couple of questions about whether these animals can get COVID-19. So I know there are reports in some papers of a tiger, I believe it was in Bronx Zoo and that. We certainly haven't tested, and I doubt that these lions would be too enthusiastic about us sticking a swab up their nose, but it is something I'm sure that will need to be monitored going forward. Hopefully not, and hopefully they never get that close contact with people that would allow that disease to spread to them. I'm certainly not in any hurry to get within 6 feet or less of the lions. Brian Walker asking, how large do the prides get? So I believe there's a pride in the Kruger at the moment that's about 40 strong. But they don't all move around together because it is just too many mouths to feed. But they have a sort of a shared territory, even though they're not all in it. Reday saying, I got it right. Excellent. Hello from Greece, hello from Israel. Hello from Alabama. Sorry folks, I'm just catching up with some of the stream.
So Jazzy Tass asking, when not in lockdown, what other properties are we able to traverse? Jazzy Taz, we have a very large property here, and we actually struggle to cover the property when we have guests, or at least the full extent of the property, unless you have guests for a very long time. So we are able to traverse on one of our neighboring properties, on Kirkman's camp, which used to, or on Toulon rather, which used to be one of Mala Mala's camps, and used to be a property that was owned by Mala Mala, and they are allowed to traverse on one of our 5 farms. But we really don't need to with the size of the property. We are quite fortunate with the size of our property.
And a welcome back to Marcus Wagner, that used to be a ranger here in the 90s. I wonder if you worked, I'm sure you worked with Nils Kira and Brandon Ford, Chris Daphne. I was here when they were leaving. And welcome back to Peter Betts. Lincoln 1800 watching The Lion King. No spoilers, please.
Then Marilyn Monroe, you're welcome. We are very fortunate to be out here. We are soaking it up as much as we can. We do realize we're in a very fortunate position here, and we're just happy to share what we can with all of you that are under lockdown in maybe smaller areas at home.
So Paul Riley asking what time of day the lions normally hunt. So generally at night, but it's a lot to do with the temperature as well. So when it's cooler, they tend to move a bit more active. So in winter, June, July, we do see them active in the day a lot more. What does ZA mean? Z Africa. So it's just what goes on to South African passports and so on to let you know that we are from South Africa. I must say, on average, our hyenas tend to win. A lot of the time it's got to do with the confidence of that leopard. Occasionally we do see some leopards clean up a hyena, but it's pretty rare. And I've seen a hyena take a full roundhouse from a leopard and not even really blink and just carry on eating. So
hi Maggie and Gordon, good to have you with us this afternoon. Look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully.
RMB asking, have the lions ever attacked a jeep? So not here, but also we are very careful with how we interact with these animals. So you can see we parked at whatever distance we're at. I think it's 7-8 meters. If they want to come closer, that's entirely their decision, but they don't see us as food. We're just this big object that views them every now and then. We don't hurt them, feed them, interfere with them, steal their mates or their cubs, so they just don't care about us.
Dizzy 1369 asking, are they as easy to follow as the wild dogs? So they are a lot easier to follow than the wild dogs. Wild dogs are notoriously difficult to follow. They run very fast through the bush, and when they get active, when wild dogs get active, they tend to jog, whereas lions just kind of walk until they are ready to hunt, and then they'll start stalking and only run when really necessary.
And Random Rob, yes, we can understand you. I'm guessing your name isn't Random Seal though. Danny Lopez, have you guys ever accidentally been sprayed by a lion? So not me personally, but I did have one very purposefully spray on the back of my Jeep. He scent marked the whole back of the Land Rover and got it on all my guests' blankets. So yes, it does happen. Years ago we had one of our staff members more or less cornered up against a tree. The lion sniffed him up and down, and he looked like a Snoop Dogg if you wanted to compare size-wise. Very tall, gangly guy, but ridiculously brave. He just stood his ground. The lion sniffed him up and down, and then two of them scent marked him. And after that, he was never scared of lions again. He felt that they had claimed him, and they never bothered him again, so there might have been something in it too. Tonete, so all the predators do interact with one another. Basically on the totem pole, the lions are right up at the top, then the hyena, then leopards, then the cheetah and wild dog right at the bottom.
Jonathan Cooper saying these lions are tame. They certainly are not tame, but they are used to our presence here. It would be a completely different story would any of us to get off the vehicle.
Paula asking, would a few lions break away? So, lions break away and form their own pride, and when they set up their own territory, had their own cubs and that's when we named them the Kambula Pride, as opposed to the breakaways of the Martley Pride, or the breakaway from the breakaway Martley Pride. So yes, it does happen. It's rare, but that's how new prides form. And sometimes prides just have a run of bad luck and don't have any female cubs, or unsuccessful in raising cubs, or get killed by other bigger prides. So some prides do disappear over time, and then some new prides form like this one. If we go back through our records, we can actually follow this pride originating from the Martley Pride about 40 years now though. What is a gender ratio? So I'm actually not entirely sure with this pride, but overall it's still going to be 50-50 at birth. But a lot of male lions, when they leave the pride, they get driven out when they're about 2 to 3 years old by the resident males, and then those young males, if they're lucky and they've got brothers, they'll go off together. But they are, wherever they are, they're in another resident male's territory, or try and kill them. So by the time they're adults, there's about 1 male lion for every 7 lionesses, I believe, is the average.
Then Craig O'Connor saying special hello to Gnat and Hendo from the Speller O'Connor family. We are sure Tubbs wishes he was stranded with us all. Keep up the great work. I spoke to Tubbs the other day, and he does wish that he was stranded with us all, and we'll certainly pass on your regards to Gnat and Hendo.
I'm guessing Kachora wants you to zoom in a little.
Okay.
So folks, just again, we are using cell phones, so how much we can zoom in is pretty limited. And then yeah, for all of you, those of you that are just joining us now, so this pride we know as the Kambula Pride, and they're resident on the sort of central middle half of Mala Mala Game Reserve, and they are 20 strong, the whole pride. And then at the moment there's 2 male lions here with them. The male's a bit harder to see, and those 2 males we know as the Gari males. So they're right in the in the middle of Mala Mala. If you were to look on Google Maps and Google Earth, perhaps Mala Mala Game Reserve, we're right in front of Mala Mala main camp, about 200 yards in front of the camp in the river. Just where we've got a little bridge we call the causeway where it crosses the river. They're just sleeping next to that. Robert McLean asking about the footage in India of tigers attacking vehicles there. So it does happen. Even in southern Africa, it does happen if people aren't behaving themselves, standing up, making too much noise. Then the animals often react very negatively towards the vehicles. Here though, we've got very strict rules on how we deal and interact with the animals. So we haven't had it yet, and hopefully we will never have it. But it is something, these are big dangerous animals, so they do deserve all the respect that you can give them.
Are we anywhere near Harry's camp used to be from Maggie and Gordon? We are about 7 kilometers north of that. Yeah, we're at Mala Mala main camp, and Harry's camp is, or it's now Rattray's camp. It's about 7 kilometers downstream from us, or to the south of us.
And someone asking what time it is here, so it is 4:30 at the moment. That's from Botswana.
Yeah.
So yes, that Introdemela, and who was the other male lion?
Someone will chime in.
Someone I'm sure will give the answer, but they
he
were from.
agrees with fire, eh?
Yeah, it's he who greets with fire and thunder. But so folks, that's referring to Eternal Enemies, a documentary by Beverly and Derek Joubert. It's probably the greatest wildlife documentary. I think a lot of the rangers, that was like a formative moment for us. Certainly it was for me. And someone asking, do I know where the descendants are? That I have absolutely no idea. So that was filmed in Botswana. We're here in South Africa, a couple thousand kilometers to the south of that. Someone asking, can we introduce ourselves to the camera? I'm sure we can. You'll just have to give us a second to untangle the camera from its little gorilla pod. Can we just introduce ourselves?
Right, yeah.
How many males? So there are 2 male lions in this pride.
Folks, so just to give you, before I introduce ourselves, I'm just going to give a quick scan around here. Camp is in frame now in the trees there. I don't know if you can see it. The lions are there. We're on the causeway, and then, whoops, I'm doing this wrong again. Sorry guys. Okay, so Bruce Missing is driving us today. He's our head ranger. And then Mike Kirkman, as per usual, on the comments.
Hello, welcome back.
And then I think you've already seen my face. My apologies for that. When I try and zoom in, my thumb scrolls over that mirror camera, whatever, I don't know what it's called, but the camera that looks towards myself. I've been caught out a few times like that.
It's just muscle memory in your camera.
Yeah.
How many male lions are part of the pride? So there's 2 males that are dominant over this pride, as well as another pride on Mala Mala. Mrs. Lapwing, in answer to your question, so the documentary is called Eternal Enemies. Yeah, definitely, I want to say it must be 30 years old now, but definitely it holds up. One of the good things with wildlife and the documentaries we've made about them is they're pretty much timeless. What camp are we at? We are at Mala Mala Game Reserve, right in front of Mala Mala main camp. You have to include my name if you want me to see your response, Annie. Okay. Bruce fixes the cars. That is correct. He certainly tries.
Bruce also does a lot of other things other than fixing cars.
So thank you so much for that, Cheryl Herbert. We definitely have been trying, and we're hoping this has been way more successful than we ever thought it would. We thought we'd have a couple of people watching, maybe our parents and some close friends, all the rangers that are on leave at the moment. But yeah, it's amazing to see so many people from all over the world have been logging on and enjoying this and that. It is quite incredible. And it's something we're hoping to carry on with in the future, perhaps with a bit more sophisticated equipment as well.
And many thanks to Nadav for that. Obviously, we are live streaming on later sightings, and Nadav has been incredible in helping us through this process. You can see how clumsy we are with our cell phones even. So Nadav's been a great help.
How many prides are there on Mala Mala Game Reserve?
So Lawrence, I think if you want to see a very detailed account of the predators on Mala Mala Game Reserve, go to our website at www.malamala.com, and if you look under the tab Wildlife, you'll see game reports, and there's a game report for every month. And you can see exactly which prides were seen on the property, which leopards were seen on the property, the number of kills, the number of sightings. It's very, very informative. But we do see, off the top of your head, Mike, how many prides?
So we actually were trying to figure it out the other day, and I think there's as many as 10 different groups of lions. So that includes prides as well as coalitions of lions. So yeah, it's quite a phenomenal amount. I think that, if I remember correctly, it's something like 64 individuals from all of those prides if we totaled them up. Not all of the prides are as big as this one. So here there's 22 lions. You can't quite see them all, but in this pride or group at the moment. And then some of the other prides are quite small. So it's the Marthley lioness is just her and her cub. The Ifield lioness, again, just her and her cub. And then a couple of the other prides that are a bit bigger, but yeah, this is the top end of the pride sizes that we're seeing.
This is a cub on the right hand side of the screen. Someone just asked that. The questions came in pretty fast there, so I think you've already scrolled past where we are now. Thanks Nadav for putting those game reports up.
And Nadav is, as always, on point there. And then just a question on why they're panting when they're asleep. So they're panting because they're hot. It is cooling down now, but remember, humans, we sweat and cool down over our whole skin. So that your cooling panel is your whole body surface for a human being, where most animals only lose heat by panting, so they're cooling down off of their tongue. So where we've got our whole body surface, they've got something about the size of your palm to cool down off of. So they're blowing air across that to cool down. So that makes us able to cope with high temperatures and run marathons and that. The cost is that we have to drink a lot of water, where these lions, they drink once a day, and they can go 2 or 3 days between drinks if they have to. And Renee, you better listen to your mom. How hot is it out there? So at the moment it's actually cooling down nicely. I would say we mid-20s now. It was a lot hotter than that earlier. Um,
And Lawrence just asking whether I live in the camp. We all live in the camp. Usually when, obviously we're under lockdown now, so we haven't been out of Mala for quite some time. But usually we're on a 6-week, 2-week cycle. So we will stay at camp for 6 weeks, and then we have leave for 2 weeks. And very often rangers go to Kruger National Park, to where you are, Lawrence, on their leaves, and they'll go and camp in the Kruger National Park.
She's scary, but she understands. Ruday has been asked to wash the dishes and is disobeying his mother like a terrible child. Do you guys go camping in the area? So yes, some of the rangers do indeed go camping out. And invariably they choose nights where there's going to be massive thunderstorms and rain. So it doesn't always go so well for them. But yeah, the animals have not been the problem. It's been the weather for camping out here. But it is quite a different experience, and that you hear an awful lot of the nocturnal sounds of the reserve, and you appreciate how loud some of those silences actually can be.
Nadav's offering to be our guide in the Kruger Park. Nadav, we'll take you up on that.
Yeah, Nadav sold.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
And someone asking the lions to wake up. So you can see there's a little bit of movement. They keep rolling over from time to time. And if you look carefully, you'll actually see they're all lying in the patch of shade provided by that little tree and bush next to it. I'm guessing as the sun moves a bit lower, they are going to have to kind of move with the shade, or if we're very lucky, they might get up and get going. I'm guessing from here, or I'm hoping from here, they might go and have a drink at the river. The actual watercourse is just behind them, about 20 yards. And then from there, perhaps we might see them do something exciting, though it's not looking like it's going to happen anytime soon. Brian, no, I don't think the lioness that was mating is a mother of any of the cubs. So there's 6 of them in the pride. 5 have had cubs. So it's the 6th one that hasn't had cubs that was mating with the males. An afternoon to Bradley Tomet of Safari Architects. Tonete asking about other animals not coming near. So it would depend a lot also on the wind and that how attentive the animals are. I have seen the hyenas walk right into the middle of the lion prides before. It doesn't happen often because they are pretty alert animals, but it is very funny. It's never ended badly for the hyena, but they get a huge fright, and you can imagine what would happen. We actually have a very funny video on Mala's YouTube channel of impala walking right into this whole pride. It was all the cubs that were all lying in a line in some grass and kind of bounce out next to her. There weren't really any danger to him, the impala ram, but I'm sure he's still running. He got such a fright. Jonathan Cooper, so yes, the 2 male lions are right here. It's just hard to see them at the moment. One is hidden behind a thicket, and then the other one is lying right at the back, more or less in the middle of the pride. It's just very hard to see him. He's got the best, deepest shade. Mrs. Lapwing, to answer your question, are there any coalitions pushing in on the Gari male? So not really into their territory. though they went on a bit of an expedition the other night and chased some young male lions around in the southern parts of the Sabi Sands. So it does happen, but I think theirs was more a preemptive strike and perhaps a bit of a smackdown to let those young male lions know not to even dare coming anywhere near their territory.
Lawrence just asking me there, have I been to Paul Kruger Rest Camp and Timbavati? I've been to the Timbavati private game reserve, and I've been to the Timbavati picnic spot. And just, I don't know, where's Paul Kruger Rest Camp?
I presume he means... I don't know if Paul Kruger, I presume he means Skukuza.
Skukuza. I've been to Skukuza, Paul Kruger Gate, but yeah.
To get up and do something, she certainly would. What does happen this pride, so there's 6 lionesses, but 2 of them do often go off and do their own little missions together, and then the one that doesn't have cubs often also goes off and goes walkabout on her own. So they won't necessarily wait for the pride, but they are social cats, so they do want to be with other lions. So they will prefer to stay together, but if they need to hunt, or say it's a mother with her very young cubs that aren't with the pride yet, then she will go and look after them on her own. So Dizzy, you didn't miss the impala. I was saying it's on, I believe it's on our YouTube channel. I'm certain that it's on our Facebook page for Mala Mala Game Reserve. A video of the impala getting a fright and walking into all the lion cubs. If Pete is watching, then I will ask him to put a link on here for you.
Jacques.
And Jacques Proust, bonjour. I hope you haven't fallen off any roofs lately. Yeah, welcome. Jacques is one of the older rangers here. I'm guessing is pretty jealous right now. Can you get hold of Pete and ask him to put that link on, please? On your phone. I don't understand. Okay, then never mind.
Lawrence asking if it's easy for us to find lions. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. That's the short answer. Sometimes they can really give us a runaround, and you just find their tracks going in all directions. That's if you can find their tracks. And then sometimes they are just lying right in the middle of the river, right in front of camp like they are today. So it just depends. A pride this large is a little bit easier to find than maybe a single lioness or a leopard, because there are so many more of them, and obviously there's a lot more tracks of them. So a pride this size is certainly a lot easier to follow than maybe smaller prides or leopards. Or even wild dogs for that matter, because wild dogs move very fast.
So a question on the lioness spreading her leg. So that's just to expose her belly and that thinner skin and thinner fur there, so it just helps them to cool down a little bit better. When was the last time we saw a leopard? So we saw 2 days ago. If you go on Malamala's YouTube channel, you'll see...
Expect a few videos coming up full of leopards.
Yeah. We actually had a bit of a bumper leopard crop the last few days. But now that the lions are kind of back in town, we had 2 prides of lions relatively close to one another. This pride and the Martley pride are about 2 kilometers in a straight line apart. So when there's lots of lions around and they're pretty obvious animals, then we don't see too many of the other predators. Are we seeing more wild dogs since the lockdown? Christine, so we've actually been really fortunate the last few years that we have seen the wild dog numbers increasing. That might well be when we had the drought. A lot of the impalas actually did really well, and their numbers have come close to doubling in the last 5 years. So now the things that eat impala, and impala make up 80% of the wild dog's diet, so their numbers have gone up. And there's a few people asking about whether the animals have changed their behavior since lockdown. So here I would say no, they probably haven't even noticed that there's fewer vehicles around. And that's partly because they simply don't care about us, as you can quite clearly see with these lions sleeping here.
You may have noticed a few of those lions picked up their heads there. There is a baboon that is barking from camp, and they've all just lifted up their heads to have a look at it, to listen to it. You can probably see all these lions lying down here. I'm sure there's someone in camp trying to keep those baboons away from camp as well.
And Maggie and Gordon, sadly there have been no more sightings of that pangolin, but believe me, we will definitely let the world do see. We did see another very rare animal, but we're keeping that one under our hats until the video of it released in the next day or two. It was a big first for Malamala as a whole, a reserve in fact.
New World Order or Disorder asking, can we do cat noises to see lions' reactions?
If we did that right meow, I think we would be in big trouble.
Jeez. Did you enjoy that one, Jacques? Yeah.
But no, folks, making any sounds and disturbing the animals that would actually mean we've lost respect for them, and then they'd probably lose their respect for us pretty quickly too. So whether it's making noises or throwing lamb chops or tennis balls, that sort of thing, interfering with animals is not what we're about. We're purely here to watch and enjoy and learn from them and about them. But yeah, the respect obviously has to go both ways. Do we get nervous filming at night when they are hunting? So nervous maybe not the right word, but you certainly are a bit cautious. I very dramatically had a buffalo crash into me the one night with 2 lions attached to it. So that made me a bit more nervous of watching lions and buffalo. Pete, who you see in a lot of our YouTube videos, he had a wildebeest land on his lap and get pulled off by the lion. So we have to be very cautious because they don't see us or care about us. We just, I don't know if any of you have heard the expression, the referee is part of the court. But yeah, the animals, we just happen to be there. So they do their own thing, whether we're in the way or not. And Cheryl Herbert, it wasn't a spotted creature, it was a striped creature, which I'm sure will confuse you all. Yes, but I'm just putting it out there to titillate some of our audience. Where exactly are we in the Kruger? So we are in, if you're looking at the Kruger, we're on the sort of bottom left-hand side. You'll see at a map of the Kruger, you'll see Skukuza is the main camp, and we the property that runs from there 20 kilometers northwards. What will we do if we're attacked by the lion? So they're not just going to attack. What we're going to do is, as soon as they start to show any signs that they were aggressive or unhappy with us, we would just leave. But the lions here, they've never shown any signs of aggression. So Tonete, we actually haven't been filming at night. We do game drives and so on sometimes in the evening, but yeah, we haven't done any of our videos at night, partly just because the light isn't good and you wouldn't really be able to see anything. So folks, we do not have skunks here, but we have something called a striped polecat, which is similar, and that is not the animal that was seen. How many prides are there in the Kruger National Park? I have no idea. It would be into the hundreds, I'm sure. I seem to remember reading a while ago that there were between 2,000 and 3,000 lions in the Kruger Park. And the average pride size is, say, it's 10. No, well, it's actually 7. But yeah, it's going to be quite a lot of prides.
Yep. Yeah, we've got an idea of what he's going to do. Shame, maybe he doesn't want that exposure. I guess stage fright. Some of the others have their heads up now there.
Ben asking how long do we typically spend with the sightings. So Mala Mala is a bit different to other reserves, so we stay as long as we want to stay. We're very fortunate that our reserve is quite big and there's not only 1 or 2 sightings normally on it, so we can stay as long as we like. I've stayed in some sightings. I think the longest I left in the morning and came back in the evening. Took a book and I sat next to a pride of lions just like this with my guests. They snoozed while I read, and we spent the day waiting for the lions to do something, which sadly the only thing they did was roll over and yawn a couple of times, much like these ones. And then, sorry, just to go back for everyone that has been joining us in the last little bit. So this pride of lions we know is the Kambula pride. There's 20 of them all told. 6 of those are lionesses, and then there is 2 male lions here. You can't quite see, one's right at the back of the pride, and then the other one's to the right of the screen in the thicket, in the best shade. And we are waiting for them to get up and get going. But last night they killed an impala, a zebra and a wildebeest and ate them all. Then came down to drink right in front of Mala Mala main camp. So we're just in front of the camp now, which is also partly why we've got such good signal for a change. So we've done, well, hopefully everyone can see pretty well.
Nadav saying he spent 8 hours at a leopard den. I think for those of you that haven't been on safari, to see the action, you've got to be incredibly patient, and it doesn't happen around every single corner. You know, you might see a with hunts and kills and all those kinds of things. So yeah, if you want to see activity, you got to be incredibly patient.
Does Mala Mala have handicap accessibility? So yes, we do. I think we're one of the only camps that does. So one of our rooms is fully equipped. We actually have a couple of guests that come every year specifically for that reason. So all the bathrooms and all the accesses are set up. And Theo York, no, like the kills one after the other. But I presume through the night. And sorry folks, we just seem to be having a little technical issue here.
Yeah, it's fine, it should be fine.
So there's plenty of places where you can do ranger training. Just a quick Google search. But then once you start here at Mala Mala, we train you up for another month at least in the individuals, how we like things. So yeah, it's a long process, a very important process as well. What time is it? It is now just gone 5 o'clock. And that's according to a Land Rover's clock, so I may be wrong.
Yeah, that's fine.
So the question, there's 4 new young lions in Sabi Sabi. So I believe so. We haven't seen that. But these 2 Gary males that are with us now, they actually went down there and chased those young male lions around apparently the other night. I haven't gotten around to reading or watching that video that they posted, but from all accounts the Gary males cleaned up there, so I don't think they'll be bothered by those young male lions for the next while. Daniel Gravenstein, we can send your CV and we shall see. What was your funniest experience with the guest, Gareth?
Wow.
It's impossible to answer that and keep it tidy at the same time.
I actually can't think of any off the top of my head. If I do think of an appropriate PG one.
Yeah, I was walking guests back to their room one night and they were adamant that there was a lioness watching up ahead, and on closer inspection it was a short lamppost with a downlight. I don't know how they thought the lion had a torch shining out of its ear, but that was a thing. Speaking of handicapped guests, we did have an old lady here who was being pushed to a room by a family in a wheelchair when an Inyala, one of the antelope, ran across the pathway and the whole family ran away and abandoned grandma to her fate, which she wasn't too thrilled about. How long before it's dark here? So probably minutes. In about an hour.
Yeah. The sun will set here at 25 to 6. Current 2 minutes past 5.
Is TB still a problem with the lions? So I don't think it is as big as a problem as it used to be. I believe it's as much as 90% of the lions or something, or potentially. Sorry, that's FRV. I'm not sure about tuberculosis. One of our rangers, Craig Lever, who I'm hoping is still watching, I know he did a study on that the other day, so maybe he can answer you quickly in the comments. Most scary experience. To me. I don't know. You have any scary experiences, Gareth?
Yeah, I'd say probably elephant charges are right up there.
Yeah. So elephants are not something that we take lightly. They are often more of a worry than the lions would ever be.
I did one of my scarier moments, just because I wasn't all that familiar or hadn't seen many leopards by that point, was while I was having an interview, or during the interview process here at Mala Mala about 12 years ago. And the interview took place over a period of 3 nights, or 3 days rather, 2 nights. And on the first night I was staying in the pilot's rooms, and you have to walk down a little alleyway to get to the pilot's rooms. And I was to meet the manager at the time, Nils Kruger, in the bar, and walked out of the pilot's rooms into the little alleyway, and there's a leopard sitting in the alleyway. And yeah, I was absolutely terrified. I couldn't move. The leopard just left the alleyway from the end of it, came in on. And yeah, that was also quite a scary moment. And none of the rangers really cared. They just wanted to know which leopard it was.
Well, it was important. Which leopard was it, Gareth?
I can't even remember. I was too scared to remember.
Do you encounter hippos a lot? I want to say not that much. Unfortunately, we had a big drought where a lot of our hippos unfortunately didn't survive. But we do still see them pretty regularly in front of camp. The river came, oh sorry folks, that male line is just rolling over in the back of your screens there at the moment. You can see his one white paw up in the air, the furthest one in the back. Gareth's going to try zoom in. Oh, the other rolled over. Bradley Tommett has stayed in the pilot rooms a few times, hoping to get up to those guest rooms soon. I hope so too, Brad.
Mike, wasn't there a story about someone walking through a leopard kill early in the morning from one of those pilot rooms?
So that was Brad's sidekick, Richard de Gavea, I think.
Okay, I know Richard from school actually. How did that story go?
I'm trying to think if it was it was either him. No, I think it was Chris Renshaw, the other sidekick. Walked right past one of the male leopards that had killed an inyala, an antelope, right outside the pilot's rooms. Didn't notice a big dead antelope on his lawn, or presumably the leopard eating it.
Chris
Galliers.
There you go.
Another private guide that comes here. So the other two guides I was talking about with Bradley there are from Safari Architects. They book a lot of groups and come visit us fairly regularly here at Mala Mala. So Bradley has spent many times, or him and his guides, here at Mala Mala. So I'm hoping he's getting his fix from watching this. I wish the lions were as easy to find like this when you... Sweet T20, come back. Do they typically sleep in the same spot every night? So no. They roam pretty widely. They cover quite a bit of ground from time to time. So one day they might move just a few hundred yards, and then the next move 20 kilometers. So, but no, they don't use the same spot regularly. Where we are now, there's a bridge over the river, and that is a spot that they do often come past right in front of the main camp simply because it's a nice, easy way to cross. Those of you that follow about not even 100 yards from here, why she didn't use the bridge like the rest of the pride, I'll never know, but it was quite funny to watch her trying to cross a deep river. Where they sleep and where they go, so there is actually no real leader with the lion prides. The lionesses all do, it's almost like a consensus, even when it comes to hunting and that, like there's no real leader. They all work together and it's almost seamless. The males too, the brothers, the coalitions all work so well together. They're not normally one dominant male. One might serve, but there's, saw yesterday there you have an alpha female and they are the only ones that breed. Very strict social order, but yeah, it's quite a different thing to the lions.
Then Dizzy 1369, I hope you guys truly cherish every second you get to spend with these awesome creatures and critters out there, regardless of what it is. We certainly do. That is why we have chosen this as a career, and we are very, very fortunate to be out here right now. We're all nature lovers, so we do like being outdoors, and we're very grateful to be out here right now.
Is the white buffalo a bull? So folks, there is a white buffalo or calf anyway, that we've been seeing on Mala Mala this last month. I'm actually not sure if it's a bull. I don't know, because it's quite young. It's staying kind of in the middle of the herd and it's not that easy to see. The videos that you've seen on our YouTube channel are from quite far away and pretty zoomed in, but I'll have to be honest and say I haven't really checked whether it's a male or a female yet.
Lawrence asking what our favorite animals are. Lawrence, I've got a few favorite animals, but elephants are right up there, and I enjoy leopards and wild dogs and honey badgers and lions when they're active. And all sorts of other things as well, but elephants are certainly up there for me.
For me, it's the lion, like following a soap opera with all the different characters and how they interact between the different families. Okay. Nowadays, I say it's much more like Game of Thrones, because your favorite really. And Augustino, so if you look on our YouTube channel, you'll see a little video of that white buffalo on Mala Mala's YouTube channel. And yes, we do have a few of the rangers that are big fans of the birds, Jacques Price being one of them.
Nadav saying his favorite is wild dogs. Yeah, wild dogs are right up there. They're very entertaining, and there's usually good interaction with other animals when wild dogs are around.
So does a white buffalo have any significance for any of the tribes? So not so much a white buffalo. Often white animals do signify something. So white lions, and there have been a few born in the Timbavati, they also have a little white elephant, or a leucistic elephant, that we do see here from time to time.
And I saw a white duiker last year in Charleston as well. Yeah.
White impala get born every year, but they get eaten in the same year that they're born in. And seeing as they're born in November, it gives you an indication how long a little white antelope lasts here, where they're very easy to spot in the green grass. Maggie and Gordon, we haven't had any white lions on Mala Mala yet, but maybe one day, fingers crossed.
Terry, my sister, being impatient. Wish they'd get up.
Me too.
Hi Ethan, hi Alex, if you're watching.
Can wild dogs be domesticated? So no one has been able to do that, and I've actually never heard of anyone getting it right. I think they're just way too hyperactive for that to be an option.
Jacques asking if that white diker was tracked to Beaumont's hippo pools. It was actually the shortcut between first turning and second turning Yakkelsdraai, but close enough.
And Dizzy 1369, have you explored wildlife on other continents? Gareth and I were joking about it the other day. Once the lockdown is lifted and we can see the world, I'm sure like everyone else on the planet, we really want to be able to travel around and see more of it. We're very spoiled that we're here, but I'd love to do some of these live feeds from other wildlife destinations in the future. We're hoping if our YouTube channel takes off, and us and Kruger latest sightings, and thank you again so much Nadav for organizing this for us. But yeah, it would be great to do 1 or 2 episodes from more far-flung places. How far is Hosanna from here? Where is that Hosanna male leopard? I think he's in the north.
Yeah, I think so.
In the west. It's Singita. So then in that case, if he's at Singita, I want to say he would be maybe 8 kilometers straight line from here. So if you're looking at the screen, which is facing more or less north at the moment, you'd be to the west of us, or to the left of your screen by 8 kilometers somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, welcome from Brazil. And thank you for that, Mrs. Lapwing.
Someone is just mentioning a white Inyala there, and there is a video floating around that one of the rangers has of an Inyala that made its way up to our accommodation that I hope gets onto our YouTube channel at some stage. We will definitely let you know if it does get up there. It's a very funny video. But yeah, we'll let you know when it gets up there.
Gareth, can we live stream a Q&A? I feel like that's what we are doing. We just have lions as a background instead of our talking heads.
Yeah.
I said there were white lions but in the sort of central parts of the Kruger Park. I think in the Swaney area, I may be wrong. But I know there is a documentary crew that's working with that, or filming with that lion at the moment. So hopefully you'll be able to see that video soon. It's him and his brothers that they are filming. Well, sure they can. They just don't care about us. They know we're not going to disturb them, so they're not too phased. Naved asking, is it same spot? So we're quite far north. I want to say about 5 kilometers north of where we left the dogs yesterday, probably further in fact. And they were running off southwards, so away from this area. We are right in front of the main camp. If you looked on the map, yesterday we were more or less opposite our rat race camp. So a little bit further from here. Tanya are asking how close are we to them. So we're about 7 meters away, I would guess. I'm gonna twist the camera around a little, so that you can see the front of the vehicle and the road, and then back to all the logical glitch as well as society.
Oops, what's going on here? So there you go. I think we're halfway there, guys. Okay.
Sorry about that, folks. Alright, so a couple of questions there about the wild dogs and their barking. So they don't bark like a dog barks its head off, but they do a warning bark. So it's one loud single bark at intervals. So they do bark, but not yapping like a dog does. The pups I've never actually heard making any barking sound. And then folks, the lions do catch giraffe from time to time. It's not common because there's not that many giraffe in the area, but it is certainly something a big pride like this would go for. So yes, they eat them, but it's not particularly common. Gareth, what is your best encounter with a hyena?
Sure. I quite enjoy watching wild dogs and hyenas interact. I can't think of one specific.
So I've had a couple of laughs when the hyenas have come wandering along past big prides of lions like this. And then just the other day we were watching a little family group of hyena playing around in a waterhole. And I don't know if it was flies or what the issue was, but one of them kept dunking his head underwater. I think, like I said, it was to get rid of the flies.
There is a hyena that comes into camp every night, just about, and we've had a few episodes of him getting into the house that we stay in. All the rangers at home will know of Rams as the house that I'm living in, and he started to get quite wily. First of all, he came in through a door that was left open by one of the rangers, but eventually found his way in through the window, and we had to start closing the windows at night so the hyena didn't get in. And he took one of the other rangers' shoes, and he took my laundry away with him. So yeah, we've had a few funny experiences with hyenas in camp. I also found one with its head in the dustbin in the kitchen once. And yeah, it was very funny trying to see the hyena exit because he was slipping on the tiled floor and wasn't going anywhere he was trying to get somewhere, but he wasn't going anywhere very fast.
Are any of the lions pregnant? So not that we know of. All of these cubs that you're seeing here are around 18 months or so old. So the lions is probably to have cubs themselves maybe 6 months from now they'll start mating. The one lioness that doesn't have cubs out of the pride of 6, she has mated with the lions repeatedly over the years and never seems to fall pregnant. So she might well be sterile. It is something that does happen from time to time. But yeah, she might be pregnant, but I doubt it based on the history of this particular lioness. Mark Gray, I believe that's because they don't have the medulla oblongata. What's the coolest thing you guys have seen? So I'm going to say all of my coolest sightings are on Nadav's channel, on this Kruger Sightings channel.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool things up there.
So if you go and search there's some amazing sightings. A couple of them are mine, but there are hundreds more from other people. So there's plenty of amazing stuff to see that if no one had filmed it, no one would believe it had actually happened.
You can see the male lion rolling over in the back there.
And then Haley loves wildlife. So I think the Gowrie males, the males that we're seeing here, did dominate the Nkuhuma Pride before they moved down here. And they just stayed with the Kambula Pride. They never really bothered going back north, which is why those northern Avoca males kind of got their chance without really having to fight. The Kambula Pride, so they weren't free to take. There was some other male lions that we knew as the Machapiri males that used to dominate them, but they were driven off by the Gowrie males. So there's 2 of them now, but there used to be 5, and they've been whittled down over the years to just the 2 now. Do the lions know when another lion is pregnant? So yes, they will. There's one of the cubs up and about. They'll be able to smell in her urine in particular, is how they're going to be able to tell if she's pregnant or not.
Brief, you can, we can transfer to you, but if you are in a position to use whiskey fridge, it would be preferable.
But a lot of the times animals are very aware of the condition and health of others, so they'll be able to smell it in their urine. Scent marking and so on is how they communicate all of that info. And then if one of the lionesses goes to the bathroom now, the male lion might just go and sniff and smell and see what her reproductive status is.
So digital tennis shoes, yes, it is dangerous to have the hyena in the house. We prefer so we do close our windows at night to deter them from coming in. I'm just going to show you some guinea fowl which are on the causeway right now.
So yeah, you might have your funny sighting.
Yeah. So let's see what happens when they notice the lions. They haven't noticed them yet. I think they've just seen them. Just going to zoom out a bit. Hopefully not see my own face. Okay, there you go. Those are interesting rocks. Are you talking about the birds, Nadav?
What are you talking about, the lions doing their rock impression?
And you're saying our voices are lulling them into further slumber. I thought that was because you were boring, and then I read the next sentence. These guinea fowl have decided that maybe that's not the right route to take. See, if I had wings, I'd probably just fly over them.
That lioness is looking quite keen there.
Yeah.
So folks, these lions had their zebra, wildebeest and impala for dinner last night. Do you know what it's like when you've had a big meal the next day? You kind of feel hungry even though you know you shouldn't. But for the younger lions, this is more of a game than actual food. You can see one or two of the adults are just watching, and then the closest one to them, she's got her eyes open, but she hasn't even lifted her head. Oh, there's a yawn for you. Linda, did someone order room service? Maybe that's why they don't want to eat them, Linda. They're just too expensive. How can you know what they ate last night? So, our neighbors told us. In the Sabi Sands, they were seen with an impala and a zebra, wildebeest kill. And then on Mala Mala, they killed a zebra, which our anti-poaching team found.
Perfect. So these guinea fowl look like they are taking a bit of route around these lions now. And you can see the river just in the background there behind the guinea fowl. The river has risen somewhat over the last few days. We've had some late rains. I think let's put you back on the lions here.
Oh. So just let's have a look behind us there, Gareth.
There we go. Oopsie, so I broke that thing now. Okay, so here comes an elephant.
I think let's just wait and see what happens. I reckon, where they go? So folks, so we're just going to see what happens with this elephant.
So
He might
the
wake the lions
guinea
up.
fowl have chosen elephant over lions.
Let's see what the
Looking a
elephant's
bit
more keen on the guinea fowl than the lions were.
Yeah, it's quite stroppy, yeah.
You can see the lions are getting out of the way of the go forward, and I don't know if you can go through that gap there. Oh, cancel that.
Okay, this elephant happens here. They don't particularly like lions. It's like he's just noticed them.
Just remember where they're showing for people.
Yeah, yeah.
So you folks won't be able to see it, but there's actually some lions in that thicket right where the elephant is. I don't think he's seen them yet. Oh, there's a male lion popped his head up.
Should we let these guys cross here quick? Folks, so we are blocking one of the routes home here. We're just going to move and let a vehicle cross the causeway quick, and we will get back to you with the lions shortly. Okay, let me just try and...
Don't worry about it.
There you go.
Chris, can you not just go out there? So Nikki, what happened to the previous males didn't survive. They went through 3 sets of male lions before these Gary males finally settled in. And Augustina, if I put on an elephant costume, will the lions move out of the way? I actually have no idea, but I feel like that would be something everyone would want to see on a live stream. So let us know when you're free.
Like so, Bruce Hedges and Amy have been on a stop at Malamala. Hi guys. How's the drive? Excellent. This elephant's still here. He's just in the background behind these bushes. Okay. So I'm gonna get stable again. It'll take a second. It's nice to see the male's head is up now.
So Miss Anamandris asking, yes, so that is our staff. So even though we are in lockdown and don't have any guests, we have some of our gardeners and housekeepers and that are still here just to help maintain the camp. We're on a real skeleton staff. It's more or less a support crew to keep the camp going. And also the chefs that are feeding us some pretty delicious food. But yeah, we also don't want to keep them locked in the camp the whole time, so they do get to go on game drives and actually enjoy the place that they work in too. Obviously everyone that works in the bush is here for a reason. Christine Prescott, have we done a count? So not really. They're all kind of scattered. We can just see tails flicking in some of the thickets from time to time, but I do think the bulk of the pride is here.
This pale lioness has been the one that's been mating with the Gary male, I think.
Yeah, I think that's gone ahead.
Yeah.
But the 6 lionesses are certainly here, so if they're here, then I'm sure all the cubs are here. And the smallest cubs, the 3 youngest ones, are also here. See the lionesses greeting one another there, folks. How old are the cubs? So the youngest ones are 10 months. And the oldest ones are now 1 year and 9 months, if I remember correctly. And then the rest of them are all sort of 1 month intervals going down. If you go into Malamala's website, you'll see on our we have a sightings report there that lists all of the ages of the individual animals that we do see.
Okay. So it's now 20 to 6. I don't know if that elephant has spurred them on to get a little bit active, but you can see they are all yawning and standing up now.
Alright, and the question, are the lion's tongue as rough as cat's tongue? So yes, and much bigger. Scale up a cat's tongue 10 times more. But yeah, certainly if the lioness were nice enough to lick you clean, she'd probably take those couple of layers of skin off too. The lions are lazy in the day because it's hot and they've got nothing else to do. And Christine, we're hoping that they all go and have a drink. The male there, you can see, is finally up and about. Maybe his brother will also come out of the thickets that's exactly behind him now. And if they do go and drink, we'll try and get a view of it and see the river banks are quite steep here, so they might have to cross and kind of come back around. How old is the male lion? If I remember right, he's 10 years old now, and the lionesses are all between 7 and 8 years old. And hello to Erica Hahn, I believe you were with us the other day too.
They are going down there, south of the causeway.
What's that?
No, so there's one lioness gone south of the causeway there, but let's just wait for these other ones to catch up.
So what we're hoping to do is show you all the lions to come going to have a drink, but we do have to wait for the stragglers at the back here just to cross.
And there you can see the second male.
We don't want to block them. Oh, and there's a brother that's woken up. But the road is looking like a bit of a minefield right now.
Yeah. Good luck, Bruce.
Just make sure it's on the wheel on that side.
Yeah. There's one more lioness just coming out.
There's the sixth lioness. Lionesses tend to live males not 12 or 13, though we did have one male live to 16 here and one lioness that lived to 19, but those are more the exceptions. On average, 12 to 15 is about it for them. Any guess that, folks? You have no idea how lucky you are that you can't smell a lion and its excrement. it's pretty noticeable smell. So I guesstimate on the male sizes, I'm guessing they're probably around 180, 200 kilograms in that range. I'm guessing they're a bit on the heavier side now because they all had a big meal last night. And how many members of the Kambula Pride? It's 20. We are maybe 6 or 7 meters from the lions at the moment. You can actually see the very front end of the Land Rover on screen there. Opinion 8D, so their tail tips are always black. It's nothing to do with their mane color. Interestingly, lions are the only cats with a conspicuous tuft at the end of their tail, like the lions have, and they only grow it when they're about 8-9 months old. Before that it just ends more or less. And Snack Attack asking, do we have a show every day? So we certainly try to. Like we've mentioned, though, we limited where we can go on the reserve where there's cell phone signal. So it's not easy. We're very fortunate, though, the lions are in an area where there's very good signal at the moment. But we try, if we possible, to be on between 4 and 6 South Africa time. Ah, Mike Griffin, that's harrowing.
Then Nadav, just thanks to all the 20,000 people that have watched so far. Thank you from our side as well. It's been amazing to have you join us, and we're really enjoying bringing these live feeds to you all, and we hope you're enjoying it too.
Hello to Brendan Cole as well. So Nikhil asking the male lions if there will be a successor. So it is quite possible. Maybe those 4 young male lions that they were beating up the other day or chasing around in time. Oh, there's a fish eagle going up. Missed it.
Oh man.
Never mind. But yeah, it is quite possible those 4 young males are the only young male lions in the general area that we're aware of. But you never know, tomorrow we could have a big group of young male lions come over from the Kruger Park and surprise us all. Mike Griffin asking, are they any good at pulling buffalo down? So these lions are not good at catching buffalo at all. They were very spoiled in the drought that they had these very weak buffalo. So they did have an easy time of it then, but they are nothing like the Ifield Pride, which were buffalo killing machines. They are not nearly as good.
And Dave Schul from Canada. Hello Dave, welcome.
Mala Mala magic indeed, Theo York.
We're waiting for Mala Mala madness, which will happen in a few months' time.
I'm watching from Alberta and Canada.
And Mita again, hi Mita.
Glad you could enjoy it.
Yeah, came on safari with me last year, June.
What is the name of the male coalition? So these are the Gowrie male lions, otherwise known as the Birmingham males by our neighbours. When does it become dangerous? What do we look for? So what they'll do is they'll be kind of, if you've got a domestic cat or even a dog, you've got a good idea already, but they'll be crouched down, upright, tail flicking from side to side, ears back, growling. So they'll give us plenty of warning. And Annie, that's maybe a good idea, because I often wonder who KS is before forgetting that it might be us. And Alan Frank, so we're just trying to show you the elephant drinking just upstream from the lions. Mala Mala madness is what we have here almost every day. It's just these crazy sightings that we have all the time. And it makes for good alliteration. Mala Mala magic is another one that we use. And Jay Guardia, it is not scary being close to the lions at all. We've gotten to know one another quite well over the years, and a lot of respect either way for them. And the tuft of dark hair in a Susie Q, it actually just kind of transmits or highlights what their mood is in. Like I said, if they're getting angry, they're flicking it from side to side. It just highlights their sort of mood and temperament. The same for their ears, having the black on the back of their ears. It just where their ears are placed is highlighting a lot of their mood. Even the white stripes under their eyes just highlights what's happening facial expression wise. Our human faces are very mobile, and a lot of our communication is non-verbal. The lion's faces aren't nearly as mobile, but what movement they do have, they highlight with those black ears and white eye stripes. And the garimals sometimes go to the Kruger Park, but hardly ever. And Auksheni Dinga. So Auksheni is a greeting in Shangaan, one of the local languages. It means hello. And it's a pleasure, Merle. We are very glad that you could enjoy our live stream, and hope that you are entertained. The crocs in the winter hibernate. Some of the bigger ones just go into the thickets or lie. It's still around. And the smaller ones actually go into burrows in the riverbank sometimes.
So Dylan Morgan just asking, when do we go live? Dylan, we go live when there are animals within cell phone range on the property. Our coverage is only about 10% of the property. So we go live when we find animals in that area on an ad hoc basis. If you do want to know when you go live, just turn your notifications on for latest Sightings YouTube channel, as well as any of the other platforms, or any of Mala Mala Game Reserve's social media platforms. A lot of the sightings that we are missing because there is no cell phone coverage, we are still filming, and we are putting it on our Mala Mala Game Reserve YouTube channel. So go and check those out.
And if you want to know when those are coming on, likewise you can hit like and subscribe on our channel. David thinking the male lion is pregnant. He certainly does look it. I think he's due tomorrow, judging by how full that belly is. Question on what happened to the other two Gari males. So one unfortunately injured his hip. He somehow dislocated it and didn't survive that. The other, we believe, was bitten by a snake. Our neighbors told us, so we don't know what type of snake or how long it took or the details on that, just that it was a snake that killed him. And then they had a fifth brother, a ginger-maned one, who just vanished. We saw him once or twice, but he just disappeared. We don't know what became of him.
And then Theo York saying Bumba at Piccadilly Triangle at 7:30. May well be, Theo. So Piccadilly Triangle is beyond those trees in the background there. MK becoming a proper YouTuber. Brendan, it's MK4K to you.
BC, it's 2020. Welcome to the future. Right, and then Annie from Durban. So it's going to get dark for us too very shortly, I'm sure. Fortunately, Gareth's phone, even though it is just a phone as opposed to a proper video camera, the phone seemed to pick up light a lot better than a normal camera would. So it's actually darker than it appears on your screen.
So Lawrence Jr. has got good advice there. Why doesn't everyone just download the app for latest sightings in the App Store? The app will notify you. Good plan.
He is a child of the future.
Yeah, there we go.
And hello to Robin Sewell. Glad you're enjoying it and watching too. She's one of our rangers here as well. Currently doing some gardening.
MK4K power.
Mark Gray asking, will a rhino stamp out a fire? So that's actually quite one of these old wives' tales. And no, they don't, otherwise they'd be very helpful to us. Apparently what that might well be a result of is people camping on rhino paths. Rhinos coming through and that, and where rhinos paths join, there's often a big midden or a toilet stop there, a latrine site for them. So it is a nice big open spot, and if you were coming through Africa in your ox wagon, a sensible place to stop if you were unaware of rhino and their behavior. So that's probably rhinos blundering into campsites that started that story. How old are you guys? Friday, I am 38 and a half, or 38 and 11 twelfths.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 37 and a few months, I think. Jacques asking Robin watering the grass in the staff village. So Adam Parker was watering his grass in the staff village. He grew a patch of lawn that did not grow at all until he left, and now it's looking beautiful. Okay folks, so it is starting to get dark here now. I see it's starting to appear quite grainy on the phone, and when it gets dark here very quickly. So I think we are going to start saying our goodbyes. It's been a lovely afternoon with you all, and thank you for all of your comments. It's been a lot of fun, and please join us and do as Lawrence Jr. says, go and get the app so that you can get notified when we do go live. Yeah, so please subscribe and like all of the latest Sightings social media pages, as well as the Mala Mala Game Reserve social media pages. We do have lots of other sightings coming your way on our YouTube channel. And then just a quick thanks to Bruce and then Mike.
Thanks folks, it's been a pleasure having you all again this afternoon, especially all the familiar faces and names.
Yeah. And then for myself, thank you everyone. It's been a real pleasure. We'll see you soon.